This is relatively interesting fan that you can still find on Amazon today. It is a clock fan, a digital clock fan. Well, it's not necessarily digital, but you see what I'm talking about when I run it. It's actually like a clock fan. Well, the battery in it kind of died out as far as the battery that controls the clock. It doesn't really keep up with the time. Like, for instance, if I'm using it, and let's say, for instance, I unplug it and I go to power it back up again, it will lose the time. As opposed to when I first bought it, that battery helped save the time. It kept the memory going so that it will remember the time when I will power it up again. Well, over the years I've had, actually I got this fan back in, I believe it was 2018 if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, y'all forgive me, 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. But anyways, like many of the fans in the collection, it just kind of sits around, and there's no way to really turn that battery off. It just kind of runs and keep the memory going. So over time, the battery just kind of died like any battery would, and now the memory doesn't work on it anymore. So when you use it, you can just set the time up, and you have to keep it running while you use it. Even if you don't unplug it, and you just turn it off and turn it back on, then put it on the clock feature, you will lose the time. And also it has the weather and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite unfortunate that the battery didn't last long. Unfortunately, like most batteries these days, or any battery for all that matter, it just doesn't last long. Eventually it's going to die on you. And there's no other way that can keep the memory going so that the clock will remember the time when you want to run it again. So that just didn't last long. But overall, what else makes this fan interesting is that the fan spins counterclockwise. Now, how can I put it? They didn't really have the intentions on making this a fan that moves a lot of air. Their primary intention was just to let it run so that you can see the clock or use it as a clock fan. But it really doesn't move a lot of air. It moves a little bit of air, but not a lot. The other thing I like about it is that the fan spins counterclockwise. It spins backwards. Because most fans spin forward, which is clockwise. But this one spins backwards like a ceiling fan does. So let's go ahead and get into it. Here we go. And then I'll show the clock. See if I can get this thing going. What a freak show. All right, here we go. Yeah, it's a good white noise maker, but unfortunately, it just don't move a lot of air at all. It's almost like the blades are not pitched or not really designed to move air, which is quite unfortunate. I wish they would have had that intention in mind so it can move air. It barely moves any air. It moves like a gentle breeze. All right, let's go ahead and get into the clock. Let's see if we can get that going. Now, you can set the clock. You can set it. But once you turn the clock off and you turn it back on again, it's going to lose the time because the battery no longer keeps the memory. It no longer saves the memory or saves the presets. See? So it'll flash for a little bit, and once they realize that you're done, it'll just stop. And you can see the second hand moving. Now that's not the real time. But if I was to shut it off and then start it up all over again, you'll see what I'm talking about. It will not keep the time. See, right now it says it's 12:33. Now watch what happens when I shut it off and start it up all over again. Now I'm going to start up all over again with the clock. 12:35. Okay, so it did remember it. I'm tripping. I thought because, but let's see what happens if I unplug it and start it back again. So let's unplug it and start it back again. And then let's start it again. Let's see if it actually remembers the time. I guess the battery does work. I thought it wasn't working because I know for a while it wouldn't recognize the time again. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Yep, there we go. I told you. So if you unplug it, then it will not remember time. So it is true what I said. The memory is lost because the battery no longer saves or helps the memory to save your settings. And then you have to start all over again. But in the past, when I did that, when I would unplug it and plug it back in, it did actually remember the time. That's because the battery allows the memory to keep the time or the settings. Unfortunately, because that battery is gone, it doesn't do that anymore. And I guess if you just turn the clock off and turn it back on while the fan's going, or even turn the fan off, it looks like apparently it'll remember that. But when you disconnect it, then it just loses the time altogether. Oh well. And then here it is without the clock. Again, and then I'm going to end this video because it got way too long. That wasn't my intentions to make this video that long. Do apologize. But oh well, you got a long one this time. Alright. Yeah, relatively interesting fan. Fan spins counterclockwise. It blows a gentle breeze. I guess that's enough to keep you cool, even though that wasn't really their intention. So, there you go. Lamont the Fan Man. And out. You can rate, comment, subscribe, share, love, and like.